So I'm listening to NPR. Right now they're talking about Hong Kong locking down and because of COVID and China locking down because of COVID. But that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what's interesting. What's interesting is an example of paranoia and confirmation bias in the truth community, in the conspiracy theory community, the con theory people. So when you have a belief, which we all have beliefs, right? But when you have a belief that people are against you, then when something happens, you interpret it in that vein. And that's not what conspiracy theorists do, that's what humans do. Because we all know that there are things we want, and there are other people who don't want us to get those things, right? So us and them. And then when something happens, we interpret it as, oh, that's what happened. So let me back up. If you believe in God and the devil, then everything good that happens to you, you can say that was God, and everything that was bad that happens to you, that was the devil, right? So this isn't stupid, but it's simple, okay? So what just happened on NPR is they were talking about Kazakhstan. And I don't know much about Kazakhstan, but I'll say I probably know more about Kazakhstan than most Americans do, but I know very little about Kazakhstan. And they were saying on NPR that in Kazakhstan, the authoritarian leader ordered his troops to fire on the protesting crowd without warning. The protesters are criminals, he said, and I don't know if he said murderers, but the protesters need to be stopped, fire upon the protesters without warning. And so Kazakhstan's a hot mess, and then NPR said, as anyone would say at the end of a story, tie it in to us. We're US, we're NPR, we're national. How does this matter to us? So they said this could have ramifications for US international policy. So Russia just put in a bunch of troops in Kazakhstan, and they're calling them peacekeepers. And so the question is, are they peacekeepers, or do we need to be mad about this, right? And then the radio went off. So they put on some cheesy music because the interview they were having went off, and the thought occurred to me, oh, well, NPR is our national public radio source trying to tell us what to think from a national point of view. And you can say that's a harsh description, but it's true, right? They're telling us what they want us to think, just like everybody else is saying what they want you to think. That's what people do. They tell you what they want you to think. And they haven't decided yet if Russia's the big, bad, terrible bear that we need to fight against, or if we should not support this Kazakhstan authoritarian regime, meaning Russia didn't do anything bad. So NPR hasn't decided yet what they want us to think, so they just stopped the interview halfway. Now, I don't actually think that's what happened, but anybody with power uses their power to try to get you to do what they want you to do. And if you don't think that there are forces at work larger than that you know about, or larger than you want to acknowledge, okay. But if you had the power to control the radio, you would. Somebody's controlling the radio. Hello? So does this mean that there's a bunch of rich people in the back room who are into the occult and who are evil? No, it doesn't mean that. But have you ever had a boss The more power they got, did they get better or worse? Did they use their power for good? If you have a mistrust of authority, but you also think that talking about the government being evil is in left field, what do you think the government is? It's an authority. Have you had good examples with authority or not? You can't call people crazy who are questioning their leaders. That's why people question their leaders, because we feel this big pushback that we're not supposed to. And that's what we do. We question what we don't understand, and nobody understands how those things work, including you, the person who just listens to the news and believes it. So there's some kind of veil, some kind of spell, some kind of power that we have on national levels that is keeping us in a certain story, in a certain narrative, and we're pushed along. No war was ever started because the peasants in Russia felt a certain way about the villagers in France. No, the leaders of those countries decided to use their populace as pawns and shed blood that wasn't theirs. Leaders have blood on their hands. It's just the way it is. People have blood on their hands unless they're vegetarian, right? Pretending like the world isn't about blood is naive. All right. So I guess what I'm doing is I'm telling the person who is critical of conspiracy theorists that we all engage in that behavior already. You don't tell your children things that you just want adults to know. That's a conspiracy. That's what that is. It's being quiet to some people, but talking to other people about a certain issue. We all engage in conspiracies every day. So, the idea that these same behaviors that exist on every person on a low level also exist at a higher level is not at all questionable. Have you ever had a group of people that was better than the individuals that make up that group? Get a group of people together and accomplish a goal, and you will see that they want to tell certain people one thing and not tell other people. You don't tell your business plan to the other business. Well, unless the businesses get together and have a monopoly, and then the businesses don't tell their plans to the other industries or to the public. That is just how people are. People are conspiracists. So if you don't believe in conspiracy theories in general, you are not acknowledging human nature or group behavior. I'm not saying they're all true, but they're happening. I don't know which ones are happening, but they're happening because that's how people work. And the phrase conspiracy theorist and conspiracy theory was concocted to make it seem like it's probably not true. Now, there's so many of them, most of them are not true, right? But the idea that you can listen to a country a national leader and believe them. Can you believe your boss? Can you believe your wife? Can you believe your child? Sometimes. Well, it's the same with governments. To think that these people who are very rich and who all know each other and who jet around the world to exclusive events do not have a point of view that's different than other people's point of view is so naive. Everybody's trying to get what they want. That's, even if they don't admit it, because maybe what they want is to be peaceful. But everyone is trying to get what they want. Everyone works with somebody else for whatever their common interest is, and they don't tell openly everybody the same information. That is a conspiracy. So the idea of a conspiracy is not crazy. It's just the way things are. Which ones are true is the question. All right. Have a good day. It's January 2022, and question the narrative.